Hello, and welcome to our presentation about exploding kittens. This project was created by Ariana Hashimi and Minsong Ha. Friendly disclaimer, no cats were harmed in the making of this presentation. We promise! Our presentation and scientific question are about exploding kittens, but more specifically, how do exploding kittens revolutionize the world? To solve our scientific question, we will be asking and answering 4 questions during our presentation. Number 1. What is Schrodinger's cat theorem about? Number 2. What is superposition and how does it work? Number 3. What is superposition in computer sciences? And number 4. What are Google's quantum computers?
Number 1. Schrodinger's cat theorem. What is it and why is it important? Schrodinger's cat is a thought experiment developed by Austrian physicist Erwin Schrodinger. The experiment, believe it or not, is about blowing up cats in boxes. You see, Schrodinger proposed we seal a cat and a bomb into a container or box. The bomb would have a 50% chance of exploding and of course killing the cat. However, the other possibility would be that the bomb could just never explode, leaving the cat to no harm. Schrodinger pointed out that once the container is closed, there would be no way to tell if the cat inside is dead or alive without opening the box and looking inside. Though his point was rather obvious, it revolutionized physics. Schrodinger's findings. The phenomenon that he pointed out is now known as superposition, where the state of something is both things at once. In our case, the cat's state is neither alive nor dead, but a mixture of both possibilities. That is, of course, before opening the box. In current times, this thought experiment is used to show how the same thing happens to physical systems at quantum scales. The experiment revolves around the concept of superposition in particles, which essentially explains that a particle can be in multiple quantum states at once. We will elaborate fully on this later on.
Question number 2. What is superposition and how does it work in real life? Despite having started off as a slightly dark thought experiment, superposition can be applied to many real-life inventions and situations. In our last slides, we talked about how this thought experiment is about superposition in particles, and how a particle can be in multiple quantum states at once. Well, as we all know, electrons and neutrons are particles in an atom, with protons and neutrons in the center, being the nucleus, and the electrons orbiting them in the outer layers. However, electrons aren't actually orbiting the nucleus like the Earth orbits the Sun, but they rather exist everywhere in space at once as a standing or stationary wave. It's only after the measure of the position that we can pinpoint the electron's location. In summary, the electrons aren't actually in an orbit, but rather in a superposition. However, superposition doesn't only apply to electrons, it applies to everyday inventions as well, such as computers.
Number 3. Computer science and superposition. What is superposition in computer science? Previously, we talked about how superposition is applied to everyday life, and little about how superposition is used in computers, but we didn't fully elaborate, so let me do so. How do quantum computers work? Most people are familiar with binary bits, used in classical or normal computers. Binary bits, as hinted by the name, represent 2 states, 0 or 1. You see, normal computers use either 0 or 1 to process information. However, quantum computers work with something called qubits or quantum bits. Quantum computers use zeros and ones at the same time, aka superposition. With qubits, digital information can be represented in a superposition of 0 and 1 states, rather than a 0 or 1, allowing for information to be more rapidly calculated, analyzed, and more. Currently, big corporations like Google, Microsoft, and IBM are racing to develop the fastest quantum computer. Who will win?
Question number 4. What are Google's quantum computers? When we first introduced quantum computers in our last question, we asked, which company do you think will develop quantum computers the fastest? Well, the answer is already here. In 2019, Google achieved quantum supremacy, a milestone in quantum computing. They managed to create a microchip consisting of 54 qubits. Sycamore, the name of the computer, was able to perform calculations in a mere 200 seconds that would take classic supercomputers at least 10,000 years. Sycamore was truly powerful. Researchers, scientists, and developers working on Sycamore predict that quantum technology will revolutionize several fields, including defense, cybersecurity, and medicine. There's not much information on Sycamore, as it is still being fully developed and tested, but we know that this is going to be amazing once it's all done. So far, it seems that Google is going to have to take the victory in the quantum computing race.
The idea of superposition first began in a thought experiment with cats and bombs and came all the way to achieving great milestones in computer science by developing quantum computers. By asking 4 important questions throughout the presentation, we reached our final conclusion to answer our scientific question: how do exploding kittens revolutionize the world? The answer is simply the process of our presentation. Imaginary exploding kittens revolutionized physics by inventing the concept of superposition. Superposition then revolutionized computer science by creating quantum computing. Now, quantum computers will revolutionize the world by changing all the limits of technology. The process was lengthy, puzzling, and it took many great minds to finally achieve where exploding kittens are today, but it was most definitely worth it.
And that concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for watching and coming with us on this eruptive journey. Here are our citations, just in case you wanted to research more on this fascinating topic.